we are talking about being all in for voter rights. There's a crisis going on in the United States, and that crisis is that voter rights are being suppressed in many states. Thank God that is not the case in Massachusetts. Let's give ourselves a hand for that. The NAACP is all for expanding voter rights. But along with expanding voter rights, registering people to vote, making certain that they get the polls, it is very important that they know what the issues are and what and who the candidates stand for. And tonight, we have the marvelous opportunity of having two individuals. The third, of course, was Mr. Ed Miller, John Miller from the Republican Party, who could not make it this evening. But the NAACP, being a nonpartisan organization, invited both parties to participate. We're so grateful that the two candidates that did come from the Democratic side are taking the time to come out to Brockton.
Warren? All right, then I will select.
Opening statement first?
There'll be a statement first, but who wants to give their statement first? Do you? Warren Tolman will give the opening statement first.
Great, thank you, Lenny. It's nice to be here. I'm running for Attorney General because I believe that the Attorney General's office can have a tremendous impact on the lives of people of Massachusetts in many different and positive ways. A little bio, I grew up in Watertown as the seventh of 8 kids. My mom and dad started our family in a federal housing project in Boston, moved over to Watertown. I went to the Watertown Public Schools, and then I was first in my family to go to college. I went to Amherst College, and then subsequently went to BC Law. The issues affecting our communities are very, very important to me, particularly communities of color. I'm proud to say that I've been a member of the NAACP over the past 15 or so years. Lenny was at the helm, certainly, and now with Mike Curry as a leader, because I support the values that the NAACP espouses. It's very important to me. I look at this race as an opportunity to give back to my community, an opportunity to have a positive impact on young men and women growing up in communities like Brockton and throughout our great Commonwealth. I look at what happened in my own life and how I got here and the ways in which I know, as a former legislator, as someone who served in the House and in the Senate for 8 years in total in the 1990s, I had an opportunity to have an impact. I took on some very important and very difficult battles. Took on big tobacco long before it was popular. My mom, my dad, and my aunt who lived with me all died within 5 months of smoking-related illnesses. And I decided that the tobacco industry, which was preying on our young children, had to be set back. And I led that battle with all the fervor and all the energy and all the effort that I could muster. And we beat them. We beat them in a whole number of different ways, so much so that the American Cancer Society sent me around the country to work with other legislators. Rush Limbaugh, if you know nothing else about me, Rush Limbaugh attacked me on national radio, called me an anti-smoking Nazi. That's how I knew I was doing something right. But I stood up for that battle. I stood up for campaign finance and ethics reforms because I believe our public servants need to be held to the highest public ideals. And I also worked on domestic violence initiatives. I found out that women were being battered because their abusers were finding out where they lived through the mail. And I figured out, I wrote a law called the Address Confidentiality Law that protects women, and their abusers cannot follow them through the mail trail. I'm proud to be someone who's been actively down in Brockton on a regular basis. I was just out over at Campanelli Field to the Night Out Against Crime, and I won't be a person that you'll see around campaign time and then never see again. I want to be an activist Attorney General, someone who visits the community in a regular basis. That's why Senator Kennedy, Representative Michael Brady, and Representative Claire Cronin have all supported me, as is your current mayor, who is not endorsing any other candidate in a statewide race because he's an independent, and his 3 predecessors. I think that speaks to the leadership, the vision that I bring to this office. I'm very proud of that, and I look forward to working with you and working on your behalf as an Attorney General who is active and involved in the community.
Well, Good evening, everyone. My name is Maura Healey. I'm a Democrat running for Attorney General, and I am so happy to be here. Many thanks to the Brockton NAACP, to Lenny, with whom I've sat and talked about issues when I was in the Attorney General's office, and especially to all of you for coming out tonight to listen, to engage on really important issues. I love the theme of this year's national conference, All In for Justice and Equality. And that's what I believe in. That's what I've done in the Attorney General's office, or tried to do. 7 years ago, I was in a Boston private law firm, and I took a 70% pay cut to leave that job and become chief of the Civil Rights Division in that office. And when I joined that office, I changed the mission statement to be, the job of that division is to make sure that every person in this state has access to the basic building blocks of a civic society: safe housing, education, jobs, employment, healthcare, transportation. In time, as the Attorney General promoted me to run the Public Protection Bureau and the Business and Labor Bureau, my mission didn't change. And it is the same mission that compels me to run for Attorney General. I led in that office. I brought the first civil rights case in the wake of the subprime lending crisis to take on banks that discriminated against Black and Latino borrowers. I led the creation of a program called HomeCore, which has been working here in Brockton and around the state to fight unlawful foreclosures. I led one of the most significant civil rights cases of our time, the challenge to the Defense of Marriage Act, which went all the way up to the Supreme Court. I've not been afraid to tackle and take on big issues of civil rights, big issues of fairness and equality. And I actually have a track record, a proven track record of leadership and success in that office. And that's important because we've got a lot of challenges ahead. We've got needed criminal justice reform, and I will lead on that. As a civil rights attorney and a prosecutor, I am ready to go. I will lead on tackling gun violence and bringing safety and security to our families and to our communities. I will lead on tackling domestic violence and sexual assault. I will lead on tackling new forms of predatory practices, for-profit schools like ones operating in this area that are raking it in on the backs of vulnerable people. And I will lead on outreach and empowerment and education. I want people to know their rights, understand their rights, and the door is open in the Attorney General's office. It is the people's law firm, and it would be my privilege to serve all of you and lead that office forward as your lawyer. So I look forward to your questions and your comments here tonight, and to engaging with one another.